You're listening to a CNA podcast.
Now, a letter to myself with Joel Chua.
Hi there, and thanks so much for your company as always. Our guest today, well, he was once in a gang. He was expelled from school, and he landed up in juvenile lockup not once, but twice. But at some point in time, well, he turned his life around and decided to join his family's fishbowl business, where he does everything from making the actual fishbowls to doing the online marketing. Today, he describes himself as a, quote, a progress junkie who loves business. Delonix Tan, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here tonight.
It's our pleasure indeed to have you with us and to share with us your journey and the lessons that you've learned along this very colorful journey.
Indeed.
I thought it would be nice to begin this way because you did write a few months ago an article, a commentary for Today Online, in which you described yourself as being a loud-mouthed kid who often got into trouble because of his mouth.
Yes, that's right.
How much of that has changed over the years?
A lot have changed over the years. I think when I was younger, I think because I didn't study well in school, so I didn't have the attention that I could get like the other kids. They did well in school. There's praise from their parents or from the family and lecturer. But for me, I didn't do well in school, so I think I sort of need the attention over time. So I started to get attention from doing all this nonsensical stuff, especially when I was younger. But now, not really. I just want to do my things, make sure my business is running smoothly and live my life right.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. We will get to the business or businesses you're involved in at this point in time in just a little while. But I thought it would be valuable and meaningful for us to hear your journey from the point it started, when you were much younger. And by the way, you are still very young. You are only in your mid-20s, right?
Yes, I'm 26 this year.
You're right. When you were much younger, you joined a gang. How old were you when you joined this gang?
I think I was around 16 or 17, around Sec 3. So like I shared just now, I didn't do well in school, so I started to mix with all this, my neighborhood friends. Yeah, then from there, I started to pick up like bad habits, etc. Then one thing leads to another. Initially, it was just like trying out smoking and all. And then after that, because example, I cannot study well, so I get no affirmation from the school. But when I help my fellow gang members in a fight or help them to solve an issue, I get a lot of attention from there. So it start off like spiral down, and the ball just keep rolling.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned that you were involved in fights.
Yes, correct.
This wasn't like minor altercations. These were actually quite violent.
Yeah, and the serious one was that when I got expelled from IT because I got into a physical fight and one of the guys was bleeding heavily, and then I was sent to lock up from the incident.
You mentioned that you weren't doing very well in school, and therefore you sought validation elsewhere.
Yes, that's right.
The validation, the sense of identity came
Correct.
from the gang.
And belonging.
And
belonging.
Yeah, absolutely. The sense of belonging as well. I'm curious, what was it about the school environment at that point in time that you didn't help you feel that you were fitting in and you could do well in?
I feel that at that point of time, I just didn't enjoy studying. I didn't really enjoy the very strict module, the very structured module. And so I just didn't have the heart to put in my heart into my education at that point of time. Yeah, I couldn't get the validation. I didn't feel good doing it. Yeah, so I sought out for other alternative.
Right. That sense of identity and validation and belonging that you got from the gang, what influence did it have on the other aspects of your life?
Many influence. The first would be all the simple habits like smoking and drinking, and eventually all the unhealthy day to day. It's like day in, day out. It's like all the small things start compiling more and more, and then over time, it's just like my life just get more and more tied into this gang identity as a gang member. So I just completely like let go of my education because I just doesn't feel connected to the school system, etc. But yet I was getting all this feedback from my fellow gang member. Whenever I recruited someone, I got attention and I got said that, hey, you're doing well. You sort of see results from there.
As a result of your involvement in the gang and the gang fights, you were expelled from ITE,
correct,
as you shared, and you were sent to juvenile detention, not once but twice. What happened after the first time? The first time wasn't enough for you to mend your ways at the point in time. You went back to your old ways.
Yeah. The first time when I went to lock up, I was, frankly speaking, I was really quite scared, but it wasn't enough to get me out of it. It's only the second time when I really got expelled from school and my mom sent me to the lockup, and I watched her really tear up and tell me that she doesn't want to see me continue like this, where I really think in the lockup and slowly start to ask myself, do I really want to continue living like this? Where I start to really reflect and tell myself that I need to make a change at some point in time. So the second time was really a giant wake-up call because I was only 6 months away from graduating from ITE.
How old were you?
I was around, I think, 18.
18, the second time. The first time, how
Yes.
old were you when you were sent to juvenile lockup?
It's very close period. I think around 16 or 17 was very close.
Right. And you mentioned your mum. What was your relationship with your family like during this period?
During this period, frankly, it wasn't very well. My mom was always worried about me. I always went home late. She always, and in fact, when they care about me and ask me where am I always throw tantrum, why do you want to control me and stuff like that. At that point of time, I was really, really very immature. I didn't appreciate what I had. And frankly, right now, I sort of regretted it. But luckily, I'm still young, so I got time to mend back all the damage that was done in the past.
Right. So what was the turning point for you?
So the turning point was when after I got expelled from school, and then my cousin passed me a self-help book. He told me that actually you're quite daring. You dare to, in a fight, you always go and start the fight first. If you use this so-called courage that you have, why not use it on business? You could use, how to say, have a better use of your so-called potential. And for once in my life, I thought that it sort of made a bit of sense. Someone actually believed in me.
Yeah.
So I just started to just try reading the book. And from there, just one book leads to another. And I start learning about habits, how to form healthy habits. And it just spiral. So slowly I start getting more and more into personal development. And eventually my passion for business developed. That is where I started to be very interested into business and helping out in my family store, etc.
What was the book that your cousin introduced to you?
It was a simple book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a very simple financial book, but from there I feel that actually things are not as tough as it. I mean, it could be simpler Basically, I learned all the fundamentals from there, and I just started to read from there Then after that, I started reading all the Atomic Habit, all the how to influence people. Starts compiling my book collection.
Right. What was it about that? The insights that you gained from that book that really spoke to you?
I feel that the insight because Rich Dad Poor Dad is actually a financial book.
Yeah.
So I just it made me feel like, actually I got this I already ahead of people. I got this special knowledge that I have about finance. The more we talk about building asset and keeping your liabilities low.
Right.
Yeah, so from there I just feel that actually I'm really ahead. My life is not in jeopardy yet. Why not start now?
Right.
So
And you were still not yet 20 at that point in time.
Not yet. I was still not yet 20.
Okay, so this book opened your eyes in many ways.
Yep.
You have your cousin to thank for that.
Yeah, I really appreciate.
What happened after that? National Service came calling, of course.
Yep. So I went to National Service. So after I start getting into self-help, I tell myself that actually I'm still young. I got time to really work on my education. So I thought that during my NS, I wanted to get my private driving license as well as my diploma. And I did during NS. So I went through my BRT because I'm from SCDF. And then I spoke to my encik and he allowed me to study part-time and to pursue my driving lesson as well.
Okay. And what about the other qualifications that you've acquired since then?
I got a private degree from Kingston University. So I continued on after I got my diploma. And after that, I went on to NUS to study a course on Excel using SkillsFuture.
Okay. I'm sure our friends from SkillsFuture appreciate that plug. It's such a far cry from where you were. And I want to say many years ago, but in your case, it's not that many years ago because you're still so young.
Yep, I'm still young.
You're still quite young. You decided at some point in time to join your family's fishball making business. It is not a decision that many young people who think of big ambitions for their futures, that's not a decision that many people in your position might make. Tell us about why you made this decision.
Because at that point of time when I started, my interest for business spark, I thought of why look for a new business when I already got a business in hand, and this business have already worked for the past 6 decades. It was started by my grandfather. We make fresh fishball yong tau fu from the street, and eventually we went to a hawker center as the government started off like hawker centers. So I thought that I'm not a very smart kid. I didn't study well. I do not have any competitive edge. So I see my fishball business as a competitive edge that I have. And by the very fact that you say that it's not a business, it's not a sexy business, not many people wants to be a fishball maker. And that itself is an advantage for me because I feel that there won't be much competition because not many young people are willing to spend their time in the wet market itself. That's why I decided to focus on my family business.
Right. And it's been how many years since you joined the family business? Third generation?
I've been helping out for around 5 to 6 years, but at this time, I'm still not full-time on it. I'm just helping out part-time on the marketing side of things and on physically, operationally on every Sunday.
Right. So
Yep.
you actually make the fish balls yourself, right? Yeah, I've seen you do it on some
Yep.
of the videos that you've shared. But most of your effort is focused where?
On marketing.
Online marketing. Right?
Online marketing, because I still hold a full-time job. So I only
Yes.
do this on Sunday. So
Right.
on every Sunday, I will help to make the fishball with my dad, with my family. That is where I document down all the videos that you see online.
Then that brings me to that other point that's actually quite interesting. You're not just doing this with your family business to help build it as third generation involved in the business. You also have a full-time job, which is
So I'm helping out my friend catering company. So we own like central kitchens. So we have different products line. We have urban farmings, we have pastry, we have a buffet. So we also have ready-to-eat food. So this is more online with my goal of growing my family business. So I spoke to my friend. The business owner is my friend. So he told me that he's okay with letting me learn to shadow him for a couple of years before I actually take over my family business full-time.
Okay. So this was something that you entered into with a more long-term goal.
Yes, correct. With a clear intention and a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
What I found very interesting was also on your LinkedIn. You describe yourself as a progress junkie who loves business. What do you mean by that?
So basically, I enjoy challenging myself and doing things that make me feel challenged. For example, today interview, I'm actually very nervous. So whenever I do something that makes me feel nervous, but at the end of it, I actually feel like, I unlocked my potential. I made a progress. So I enjoy doing things that is hard, especially in business. Because in business, you got to do everything yourself. Like my first TikTok video was challenging. My first sales call was challenging as well. But I feel that in business, you're being forced to do new things because it's not like having a job where my manager will settle. You can push the thing to your manager. As a self-employed, as a business person, you constantly have to reinvent yourself, to push yourself to do the hard things, to get things done, even when you don't feel like it. So I feel that business as a whole really helped me to make a lot of progress as a person. That's why I came up with this tagline, like business junkie that love progress.
To summarize it in a nutshell, to paraphrase it, to constantly put yourself outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah. You mentioned that in the process of doing that, it is very natural to feel nervous, right? Because by definition, you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation.
Yes, correct.
How do you manage those nerves when you experience them?
I experience it all the time, but I just keep telling myself, just keep doing it. And the more you do it, the lesser fear you face. I have this very cringy quote: you face your fear and there will be no fear.
It's not cringy at all. It makes a lot of sense.
I always share that with my friend. I find it to be a bit cringy, but it works for me. My first sales call was so terrifying, but after calling, now to me, I don't feel anything. Even if I get rejection, I just don't feel nothing. I just don't feel anything because you get used to it and you learn to recover very fast.
So Delonix, quite a journey you've been on. If you could write that letter to your younger self, at whatever age you think that younger version of yourself needed to hear that letter the most, what would be in that letter?
I think the first thing I would share myself that it's okay to fail and make mistake in life. Because I was a bad student in the past and I didn't do well in school. And in Singapore education system, if you don't do well in school means that you're a loser in life and you can't amount to much and you don't have much option in life. And when I was younger, I was actually bitter about this thing because I feel like I couldn't study. But as I grew up, I realized that it's a strength that I have. Because of this, I'm used to failing, that I'm willing to try out new things. I've started my own self-photo studio before. I've started my own fishball noodles shop before. And even though those things didn't turn out well, I still dare to try new things because I just wasn't afraid of failure. Maybe I'm used to being called a failure.
Yeah. That is such an interesting perspective. In a way, your earlier encounters and experiences with failure, it kind of inoculated you. It kind of vaccinated you against the fear of
Failing.
taking risks.
Yes, of course.
And the
And a bit of judgment. I feel it's the reason why I dare to do things like TikTok, because to me it's like I'm so used to, I just live in my own bubble and I don't really care about what other things about me. I feel that it was being trained from failing constantly in school because everyone's just telling you that, oh, you can't go anywhere and all. Eventually you just get used to it and you learn to really quieten down the voices around you and think, what do I actually want in life? And it helps me a lot.
Yeah.
From this perspective.
Right. So if you were to think of that younger version of yourself now and you were to share this piece of wisdom with him, that it's okay to fail, it's okay to fall down, it's going to thicken your skin up to face other challenges you're going to face later on in life, right? How do you think that younger version of yourself would respond to you?
Frankly, I feel that I will think that I'm talking nonsense. I mean, you really need to experience it, and over a long period of time, then you will understand and be able to connect the dots. Yeah, because back then when people like teacher try to share with me like their nuggets of wisdom and even things that make sense, back then I was just like, this person is talking nonsense. I just want to do things. I was very young, I was very stubborn and do things in my own way. So I feel that some things in life is inevitable. You really need to experience it, then you can reflect on and connect the dots.
Yeah. How challenging was it when you encountered your first few significant setbacks in life to get back up on your feet again?
Frankly, I think the toughest for me is when I got expelled from school because to me it's like I already spent like 1 year plus in school, but I couldn't finish it. But after I learned about self-help and personal development, my failure from there, even my business failure, I didn't really take it personally because I already have this so-called positive frame of view. So even though, of course, I was affected for a while, but I just recovered very quickly. It's only when in life, back then when I was in school, when I got expelled and when I wasn't a good student, those are really like childhood trauma that probably caused me to become the person that I was back then, to get all the wrong validation and to mix with the wrong group of friends.
Right. This perspective and this philosophy when it comes to bouncing back from setbacks, where did you get this from? I'm talking about the earlier stage, right? When you were able to see things from that perspective when you were much younger. Were there influences in your life that helped you see it from that more constructive and positive point of view?
Influences, frankly, my influences are from books because self-help book, they always focus on like it's okay to fail. Oh yeah, I like this specific quote from Ray Dalio's. He said that pain plus reflection equal progress. I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. I learned to digest all the bad feelings that I have. Like last time when something happened to me, I would always blame, life is unfair. But after I learned about this quote, I really journaled down and understand why do I feel this way. Like everything bad that happens, there must be a lesson that I can extract from it. And the most important thing is how do I stop it? How do I stop history from repeating? Yeah, I think that's the key thing, because I realized that actually a lot of us are in cycles. It's like you do this, you keep making the same mistake because you never go and reflect to see what is causing this? Why is this causing this person to have this reaction towards me? What am I doing wrong? I feel that is the key thing that I learned that helped me a lot.
Could you repeat that very resonant quote again that has been so important for you?
Pain plus reflection equal progress by Ray Dalio's.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So that first message in your letter to your younger self, it's okay to fail, it's okay to make mistakes. They are going to prepare you, in a sense, for more challenges down the road. What's the second thing that you'd share in that letter to your younger self?
The second thing would be to hang out with the people that you want to become. I feel like that's a very important message because back then when I was young, I didn't realize it, but the people you mix with, you eventually become them because the way they talk, the way they act, you will subconsciously get influenced by them. Like, you will get even behaviors that was bad last time, right, was normalized to me already, like drinking, or it wasn't normal, but because I was mixing with people that like that, eventually become normal, it become my norm. So I think that is the more important lesson that I've learned and I will share with my younger self.
At that age, that younger version of yourself, if you could choose a group of people, right? Because you shared quite openly earlier that the crowd that you did hang out with early on were your fellow gang members, right? Who weren't a positive influence, obviously, on you. But if you could have chosen a different group of people that you wanted to become more like at that point in time, who would you have chosen?
Become more like, I think it will probably be the straight A students. I mean, although I feel that self-education is more important, but I still feel that education is a big part to play. And I feel that if I mix with so-called more of the better student and good student, I think subconsciously I will get influenced to be better and to study better as well, and maybe to find the positive in education rather than dreading it just because I couldn't do well in it.
What was preventing you from hanging out with that group of people?
I feel that it's just the vibe, because they couldn't empathize my position, but the other group of friends that I was hanging out with could empathize from where I'm coming from, because similarly they are in a similar position, right? Like they couldn't study well and they didn't gel in with our education system. So I think the common interest or common topic is very important. If you don't have a common topic or objective, it's harder to build a bond or a relationship.
And taking the lesson to the you of today, that idea, applying it to the you of today, hang out with the people that you want to become more like. How would you describe the group of people that you are hanging out with now in your life, with your goals and your ambitions that you have right now?
The group of people that I hang out with now is very positive. So whenever, I mean, that's for sure, right? So they are business people, they are in the food industry. They are always, even in our meetup, we will talk about very positive stuff. And there are some people who I can relate to. It's like business is a very lonely journey and etc. And when I share with them, instead of asking me to like my old friends, what I do is, drink more, bro, everything will be okay tomorrow. They'll share me positive ways of, it's normal, how do you cope with it? And they even even give me like different POV on how they will do things if they were in my position. So I feel that it's really very different, and it wasn't easy because initially I have no connection with all these people, right? And it was weird to go and join like networking events, but eventually I met a group of friends in the F&B sector through a F&B association club, which I'm very thankful for. Initially it was very unnatural as well. I was just the only wet market store owner going to like, these are reputable company. Yeah.
And again, you found yourself in this community of positive influence because you took that step outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Which is what you shared with us right at the start of our conversation.
Yeah, it was not easy. Like, frankly, initially, I feel very like awkward. Should I even do this? Like finding a friend and there. But if you really go there and be yourself and just be open, and there will be people who, of course, I don't click with everybody, but you'll find people that you are able to click with and connect with if you're genuine.
You're only in your mid-20s. If you could write a letter, another one, to your future self this time, at whatever age you imagine that version of yourself to be, what would be in this other letter?
I will tell myself to keep pushing on, stay hungry, curious and driven. Sorry.
Okay.
A lot of good and bad things will happen along the way, but all those things will be lesson for my life that I can extract out from and learn from. It's not going to be easy, but at the end of the day, it's about the person that I'm becoming. And I feel that all the things that's going to come at me, whether it's good or bad, it will be training me to be the person that I want to be. So that's the message I want to share to my future self.
Who is that person that you are becoming and that you want to be?
A person that is driven, hungry, optimistic, a successful businessman.
It sounds like you're describing qualities that you have at this point in time already. How different is that future version of yourself going to be compared to the version of yourself today?
I feel that there's still more room for improvement. Like, I mean, I can take more now compared to last time, but I feel that one trend that I've noticed about successful people, right, especially business people, is that they just have a lot of ability to take a lot and to hold their breath, breath for a long period of time. So I really want to train myself to be able to juggle with more things and to do things concurrently. And it's way further than the current level I'm at now.
What do you think you'll need in order to acquire that level of resilience, to go through all those challenges that you foresee yourself having to go through in order to become that better version of yourself in the future? What do you need to acquire to do that?
I feel that it's repetition. I just need to keep doing the simple things over and over again. And like, it's like just like what I shared just now, face your fear and there will be no fear. I don't think there's any secret formulation or magic pills. I just feel that you need to do the basic thing for a long period of time, and over time it will compound and you'll get to that level.
doing the same thing, going through the school of hard knocks over and over again, for many people, it's very understandable that it can accumulate and they get demoralized as a result of that experience. What do you do? What are you doing so that that does not happen to you? But on the contrary, those experiences help to propel you instead.
For me, what I do is that, I will try to eat well and sleep well because I feel that is very important. When you're well rested, you actually feel more refreshed and you have more tenacity. And second thing is that it's a bit psychotic because I think in this way, I feel that whenever I'm going through tough, like example, helping out my family store, right, doing it over and over again, it just gets so boring and repetitive. I just tell myself that if I can take this, right, it'll be so hard for others to compete with me because they won't be able to do this. Like the boring things, like everybody talk about the sexy things, like all the shortcut and magics, but the matter of fact is that it's just doing the boring thing over and over again over a long period of time. Everyone knows that to stay healthy, you got to jog. People can jog for 1 week, 2 weeks, even 6 months, but can you do it for 10 years? I feel that is the key that is many people are missing out. They think that there's some secret or like some shortcut to success, but I feel that it's just having grit, a lot of grit, and doing the simple things over and over again until you get so good and so bored and so sick of it.
Right. That is so inspiring to hear, But this journey that you're describing, do you feel that you are alone on this journey? Because you're an entrepreneur, right? I've spoken to many entrepreneurs and they say that, sure, I've got people who are resources for me, but at some point in time, I realized that the entrepreneur's journey is, in many stages, a lonely journey.
Yep,
do you feel that way?
Yep, I do feel like that. And initially, I was questioning myself whether I can take it over the long run. But eventually, when you just keep pushing yourself, keep doing so many things at once, right, you just start to believe that it's possible. Because when you look back, like example, 2 years ago, the amount of bad things I can take back then is way lesser than what I can take now. So I feel like it's just an accumulation of grit. If you can pursue on and press on for a longer period, right, eventually you just keep stretching your capacity as a human and as a business person.
Who inspires you on this journey?
Alex Hormozi.
Okay. No, I'm not personally familiar with that name. Tell us more. Why does this person?
So basically, remember the part where I share that like it's about the person that I'm becoming. So I have this quote that I love from him. It's like, he said that like it's not about the money, fame or glory. It's about the person that you want to become. So he shared this with me that I resonate with a lot. Like the person I want to become, what qualities does he or she have? Then I will reverse engineer all the things that the person have and try to work towards that on a day-to-day basis. So if I'm about to be a business person, then I need to be able to endure hardship. I need to be able to deal with multiple fire at the same time. So I start to normalize all these bad things that's happening to me on a day-to-day basis because business people are facing that. Especially the bigger you are, the more headache you have. It's just inevitable.
The idea of normalizing these challenges that you're going to face, that is so important, isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, in this journey of being an entrepreneur. That younger version of yourself that you wrote that letter to earlier, if he were to look at you today, what would be the most prominent thing on his mind if he looks at you today?
Frankly, I think it would be impossible. Because frankly, back then I have so low self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't even think that I would amount to much. I just wanted to can get a job in Singapore, can survive here already. Back then I have very low confidence, but having all these habits really helped me to build a good track record. And all these track record just give me confidence because I tell myself that if I can do this, then I can do that. And this ball of confidence just keep rolling over and over again and get bigger and bigger, which I'm very thankful for.
Well, Delonix Tan, we are very grateful and thankful for you coming here, taking a step out of your comfort zone and sharing with us this wonderful journey, this very, very valuable journey that you've been on and the inspiring lessons that you've learned along the way. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Joel.
It's our pleasure indeed. Delonix Tan, third generation at his family fishball business, making a decision earlier on in life to turn his life around. You've been listening to A Letter to Myself.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. You can subscribe and follow A Letter to Myself on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And leave us a review as well if you liked what you've heard. Till next week, I'm Joel Chua, signing off.